because you have your Twitch stream in the middle of it, and that would be cheating.
I do, yeah. I don't right now though, but because it's now just the three of us, and I'm realising I'm looking down at my laptop where you folks are rather than looking at the camera, which is up here. So welcome everybody to another episode of Azureish After Dark. My name is Liam Gulliver, and joining me this evening is my insufferable co-host. No, not insufferable. That's the wrong word.
I am a little.
I meant you're always suffering me. But joining me this evening is Pete Gallagher and the fantastic Kayla Cinnamon, who is the program manager for a Windows Terminal and Cascadia code at Microsoft. So welcome, Kayla. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So I figured this evening we're going to talk a little bit. Well, we've got yourself on, so let's talk a little bit about Windows Terminal, and then in about 20 minutes or so's time, we'll get into playing a game of Among Us as well. So let's kind of start a little bit back at the beginning, because I know that Pete, he authors Pluralsight courses and he uses Windows Terminal in that. I use it in my day job all the time, but what really kick-started the idea for Windows Terminal in the first place? Why did it come about?
Yeah, so about, I guess, 4 years now. 4 years ago, the terminal team, as it is now, had always been receiving a lot of feature requests for things to add to the command line, like tabs and background images and emojis and tons of other features. And because of backward compatibility and because of the way that conhost, which is the box that hosts command line in Windows today, the way that it is and the way that people currently rely on it, we can't actually add too many features and changes to that. Otherwise, we'd break a lot of automated processes that people have set up, to the point where we can't like change pixels or anything. Like it would just break things. So then we decided, okay, we have to start fresh and make something new. So then that's when the terminal effort started, was about 4 years ago. And then I joined the team last February, so not 4 years ago. And that at that point, they had the terminal running, but it wasn't open source yet, and there wasn't a user interface for it yet either. So They put me on the team. Yeah, it was just, it worked, but it wasn't anything new yet. So they put me on the team to make the UI of the tabs and the experience and everything like that, because that's what my degree is in. So that's kind of how I started on the team and how it kind of evolved from there. And then we launched at Build last year with a really fun sizzle video in May, and that's when we went open source as well. And it's been a wild ride since then. And we went to 1.0 in May of this year at Build. So that's been the progression.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's like, I think, like we're saying, sort of in the bit just before we went live, it's very quickly become the go-to tool for a lot of people, which shows how powerful it is, especially with the ability to go in and say, okay, well, I want a tab for WSL, or I want one for Azure Cloud Shell, and all of those sort of things. That flexibility is fantastic. And I know there's also things like what was it called? ConEMU and Commander and that kind of stuff beforehand. But there's something about Windows Terminal, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, that really sets it apart from everything else. It might actually just be that how easy it is to customize.
It's the front end. Definitely the front end, surely.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been using it extensively today. Like the how easy it is to do stuff is, so I've been doing a lot with Kubernetes and clusters today, and doing a bunch of stuff in AKS, and I've had I quite like the K9's command line terminal. It basically gives you like a UI for everything, and it's pretty cool. And then obviously we've got Git and everything else, but the fact I can just go Control Shift and pipe, and then here we go, here's a tab as another pane in there, is great. In other, now, and granted, I could have just been using this wrong, but in other consoles, it's just been a right pain in the ass to do. So, but Sorry,
It's,
completely.
it's a UWP app essentially, isn't it? So I'm guessing it's all XAML under the hood there for the front
Yep.
end. How did you get on with that? Was there any particular pain points when you were doing that, or?
Yes. Um, so Terminal's built with XAML Islands, which has its own challenges when using it. And I distinctly remember one of our biggest like problems when we had first shipped terminal was that you could not drag the window around. Like when it launched, that was it. You could either maximize or minimize, but that's as far as you can go with putting it on your screen. Because of the layers of the XAML islands, there wasn't access to the drag region um, through the mouse because there's a layer in the way. So we literally had to cut out a box for where you could drag the terminal. And that's how we made it draggable. But that was like one of the things that was so difficult was just getting it to be able to move around the screen, which seems so basic, but since it was like a XAML Islands problem, we were like, let's get it up and running and working with tabs, and then we'll worry about moving it around. So it was like a big feature that came out was like you can move it. Ah. But yeah, it was pretty funny how like that became a problem that we had to fix. But that was just one pain point that I remember distinctly with XAML Islands.
That's interesting that it's XAML Islands. I kind of always imagine XAML Islands being the facility for you to, and it is obviously the facility for you to be able to embed nice XAML markup in old WinForms apps, essentially. But this almost sounds like the opposite of that to what you were doing. Like the XAML Islands almost is the app, and then you're putting Win32 stuff inside it. Is that, or am I misunderstanding what it is you're doing?
Um, well, it is a Win32 app with XAML Islands on top. I don't know what the distinction
Ah,
would be between
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think it's probably just my mind bending around it. Yeah, I think it's kind of the XAML Island is actually covering up the Win32 app rather than
Mhm.
being inside it. Yeah, sorry, it's just getting your brain in gear for that sort of a shift change. I've
Yeah.
not done XAML Islands, but it's fantastic. I've done loads of WPF apps, but it's a great way of being able to bring in, and I guess you can do .NET 5 stuff now in a Win32 WinForms app if you want to, but if you want it to look half decent, then you're going to need to use XAML. So that
Mhm.
gives you that facility.
I mean,
That's,
you're both speaking nonsense to me. Like I've never built a desktop app in my life.
so I started my in VB actually doing WinForms stuff. So when Blend and uh, yeah, the first version of that whole WPF infrastructure came out, that was
Mm,
mind blowing to me because I was doing embedding Flash into Win32 apps to make it look half decent and to be able to then just program at that point in VB directly and
mm.
move stuff around. And Blend was fantastic, completely badly overlooked application as well in my view. Blend's fantastic. And I think you still get an up to date version of Blend in VS 2019, even, don't you?
Don't
So
know. My editor of choice now is literally VS Code. Like if I'm writing anything these days, that's my go-to.
yeah, this was like Photoshop for XAML
Oh
blenders.
right,
It's
yeah.
fantastic, and you can do all your animations and everything in it. And they're not called animations, of course, keyframe editing and stuff like that. But yeah, you can do some really pretty fancy stuff when you start looking at it, and Blend gives you that facility. I don't know how much they push it. I very rarely see anything about Blend lately. So, I saw your face when I was talking about it there. So I'm guessing you weren't using it. You'd have been using Visual Studio's editor.
Yeah, for terminal I use Visual Studio, and then for editing my settings I use VS Code.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I'm I'm pretty sure I have the latest update installed. So bear with me. But one of the things I saw recently is that there's a UI coming for settings in terminal as well.
Yep, that is our main thing that we're working on right now. Because not everyone wants to touch JSON, which I understand. So that's definitely a lot more XAML coming to terminal because that's what the UI is built out of. So it's coming soon. We're still working on it. It's in a feature branch. If anyone wants to go play with it, it's on GitHub. So
Hmm.
yeah, but it doesn't fully work. So you could crash it very quickly on that branch at the moment.
So
And that's the beauty of all of this development. It's been done in the open in public. So obviously, not only can you go and check out these early feature releases, but you can contribute as well, obviously, and fix
Mhm.
bugs, make pull requests.
that's not unlike a live show that we do, Pete. where we do everything in the open and we have a GitHub.
No, it's nothing like that because we just spend all our time either arguing about what we're going to do next or looking at Stack Overflow. I'm pretty sure that that's not happening with terminal development.
It's a proper representation of software development.
I don't think it'd be a good job advert to call work.
It wouldn't be. Can you do Google?
We digress anyway.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So one thing, and I mean, this is more of a personal ask than anything else, because I tried to do it earlier and realized I couldn't. But is the possibility, or is the functionality, should I say, coming where you could drag a tab into like a new window or anything like that, or is that further down the line?
We are also actively looking into that as well. That's another like basic thing you'd think you could do with tabs that we can't do yet. Same with like dragging the window, but this one's way more complicated than dragging the window around. But that is something we are hoping to get fairly soon. We don't have any active code working. We've just been like planning and specking out how it would actually work. But that's another investigation that's currently going on. It's not, I guess it's on the backlog, but it's in our circulation of things that the devs are working on.
Just drop the Edge team a message, and I'm sure they'll sort you out.
Yeah, the same, right? Yeah.
So one thing like I've kind of always been a little bit curious about is how the need for a new font came about. Because like that, I mean, obviously, you got loads and loads out there, and like I use a bunch of stuff for Powerline and stuff like that. Granted, I use Cascadia code all of the time now, because it's quite pretty as far as what do you call it, go, as far as fonts go. But like, how do you decide that that's the right thing to work on next?
Yeah. So we had always wanted a new font, especially with a new terminal coming, because the largest piece of screen that's used on a terminal is the font. Like the tabs are like kind of small at the top, but the thing you're really looking at is the text on the screen. And when we were originally developing it, we were using Consolis, which is the font that's in command line now on Windows, and it just didn't look like a new experience yet. And even though it had tabs on the top, it just didn't look new because it was using this like 30-year-old font. So that's kind of when we decided we should probably make a new font, since that's literally the thing that people look at the most. So that's kind of where it came from. And then Cascadia, the word Cascadia is actually the code name for terminal before we announced terminal. That was our Microsoft code name for it. So, and then in the code, you can actually see references to Cascadia and on GitHub, because there's still some folders that are named Cascadia cool. And things. Yeah, so that's kind of a little homage to terminal with this new font. And now we're trying to make the font as accessible as possible. So we're trying to add as many characters from as many languages as we can, so that it becomes like the new standard of font for command line on Windows. So that's where that came from. But I never thought I'd be making a font. I didn't like. I just didn't think that that'd be something in my path. But here we are. So
I've got all the questions about the. I mean, the main one is, how do you go about making a font these days? You don't get Paint open and draw it in there. There's a process, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, we work with a font designer, and he does it. So that's how we do it.
Yeah.
We get someone who is an expert in creating fonts, and he was sending us mock-ups of what Cascadia code could look like, and we were playing with it in a editor and like typing it out and seeing what the ligatures look like and seeing how it felt as a font. And we played with the different versions that he gave us, and then we kind of narrowed it down into, this is what we want Cascadia code to look like. But we had in no way any like play in actually dragging the letter forms, and we said like, oh, maybe it's a little too loopy or something, but very regular terms, because we don't know how to describe these things. But yeah, we worked with a really great font designer. His name's Aaron Bell, and he's been awesome, and he made Cascadia code, and we just gave kind of directions, but it was definitely not us.
I like that, and I
So
like the fact that you didn't just look at the quick brown fox
yeah.
font layout and go, "Yeah, that looks nice." You actually went and used it in
Mhm.
place, in setting. And what sort of design decisions were you making around that? What was a yay or a nay in that? Because obviously, just getting a font to make a letter to somebody is completely different to staring at code, and certainly for the default white on black as well, that must have a design influence there somewhere too. And then
Mhm.
anti-aliasing and font size and all the different monitor types that are out there. It must be quite difficult to come across something and get it right for everyone.
Yeah. The basic thing that we started with were, are there any specific letter or letter forms that stick out that when you're looking at, a piece of code or just like a paragraph or something? And if one letter consistently stuck out of like that's, a unique letter. If it was too far out, we would say like maybe we can, tone it down and fix, whatever angling was funny. Because you don't want to notice a specific letter when you're reading words. You just want to read the words. Um, so that was kind of our first step. And then we also played with font size, as you said, and in different um, editors as well. So Visual Studio actually renders font differently than Terminal, which renders font differently than VS Code. So making sure that they look good in different editors as well, because some of the aliasing gets funny depending on the editor that you're in. So how to make it least chunky or ragged is kind of what it looks like between editors is also important. So those are things that we tested as well. And then on different monitors too, different DPI displays. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously, it's got to be monospace as well, so that
Hmm.
all your text lines up. There's no good having loads of serifs on there either. So it'd be sans serif and make sure that works. And yeah, I mean, I've not thought about what's obviously we look at the font and you decide whether it's going to look good almost instantly, and that's kind of how you'd feel about Cascadia and Consolas or Consolas or however you pronounce that one as well. The same thing, and that's the fallback font. If you haven't
Hmm.
got Cascadia installed, do we get that installed by default with something we get, or do we need to go and find it and download it?
Consolus. I think that
No,
just comes with Windows,
Cascadia.
isn't it? Oh,
Yes, Cascadia ships inside terminal, and it's Cascadia Mono and Cascadia Code are inside the package. We had Cascadia Code enabled by default, and then we're quickly made aware of that that's an accessibility issue when ligatures come out, um, because screen readers
oh.
don't, read it the same way.
Huh.
So we turned that off and shipped to Cascadia Mono, but we didn't want to break everyone who already set Cascadia Code. So we put both in the box.
Right.
So you get
Does
both.
that then give you access to that elsewhere via VS Code and Visual Studio? You automatically get that if you've installed Terminal.
Yep.
Cool. I like it. Sorry, I just asked all the questions about that
No,
because
that's cool. I mean, I guess so. Going back a little bit to something you mentioned earlier, Pete, because I've been thinking about it. So a couple of months ago, I think it was, maybe a bit more than that now. It wasn't long after our first lockdown here in the UK. I one of the things that made me want to go back to having a Windows machine for my work machine was using Terminal at home all the time. And so I've changed it to that. But thinking about it, are there any plans to sort of make Windows Terminal, although it's called Windows Terminal, cross-platform at all?
Um, Not active plans. We are open to it. The dependencies we have in terminal now rely heavily on things that are only on Windows.
Right. Okay.
So we can't physically do it now. We'd have to make, the terminal again in a way that works cross-plat. But we're definitely open to it. We're not like, oh, absolutely not. But there's no plans to do it in the near future. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. It's all right. Nobody who uses like a Mac by default is probably watching. So,
oh, I don't know.
It's fine. We'll keep it here. It's fine.
yeah, it's just chills.
I think the clue in that limitation, I guess, is the fact that it's a UWP app and the W in that UWP is Windows. I mean, when that problem is solved, and companies are doing it, Uno, for instance, Uno platform have made a fantastic cross-platform UI development framework. that I'm yet to have a play with, and I've promised them that I'm going to have a look at it. But
I do keep seeing things about it. It sounds really good.
yeah, it's fantastic from what I can see, and as a Linux most time at the moment Linux developer doing Raspberry Pi stuff, to be able to make .NET 5 apps with a front end rather than having to use something like Blazor is quite a cool thing to be able to do. So I'm waiting for the announcement that Microsoft are buying Uno. I'm hoping that's gonna happen. It wouldn't surprise me because that's a big job to make a UI framework for another platform, and that is the missing piece at the moment for cross-plat .NET, if you ask me. So yeah. Anyway, I usurped that part of the conversation too.
That's all right. That led us nicely, Pete, to the end of our 20-minute sort of intro bit, because the timer should now be just saying game time. So let's sort of move into that. We can keep talking all of this sort of stuff at the same time. But Kayla, what we'll need you to do, because it's probably easier, is if you switch your game server to Europe.
Okay, my small machine is blocking part of my large machine, so if I start ducking out, that's why.
That's okay.
The button's like behind this. Okay, I got it.
So I'm just going to create a private game before we open it up to the world. Pete, I'll send you the code on Slack, and
Can't say Slack.
I can't say Slack. Sorry, I'll send it to you on Teams. And Kayla, I'll send this to you on Twitter.
Okay.
1 second.
Go on. Yeah, I see you. There you are.
There we go. Then once Kayla's in, we'll start it off. I feel like we should lower the kill cooldown. So it's 45 seconds at the minute, but maybe we should lower that to 30, maybe?
Whatever. Not bothered.
Let's drop it to
Isn't that just
35
so
seconds. There we go.
Can get back in the game faster, or what? I forget what. Oh, so that you can kill more people faster. That's what that is, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm the imposter yet, Pete.
Well, no one knows that yet because we've not started the game yet.
So
I'm having server problems.
it wouldn't be an Azureish After Dark playing an Among Us if you didn't.
I wonder if I should restart my game.
If you just keep trying,
Okay.
You'll eventually get in.
I'll memorize this code by the end of this.
So, how long have you been at Microsoft, Kayla?
It will be 2 years in February.
Oh, nice. Happy days. How are you finding it?
I really like it. I think the culture is really awesome, and I'm having a really fun time. Like I work on a really fun project, and all of our teammates are really good friends too. So we're just making a fun product and having a good time at work. So that's kind of every day.
It's kind of the dream, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're remote. You won't be because they've closed MS down essentially and told everybody to work remote, haven't they? So how have you found that transition?
It's okay. It's not my favorite. I raided my office and took like the office chair and my monitors and everything. Probably after like month 4,
Right.
I ended up doing build from my laptop, which was not the most fun experience. And then I was like, okay, I think I need to actually like get a full setup at this point, like from my laptop on the couch. Like it was not great. So yeah, it's been good. Been very familiar with Teams meetings.
I think everybody is at this stage, aren't they?
Yeah.
So don't you say that you started all of that at home on laptop on the couch? What constitutes your sort of dev environment for what it is you do? What's involved in that?
So I regularly use a Surface laptop because all of the program managers get laptops, and then all of the developers get full towers. then I got a full tower because I actually write a fair amount of code for terminal. So then I write code on that because it builds a whole lot faster. And then do all my meetings and things on the laptop. But then I got a small Surface Go specifically for meetings because my machine doesn't like to play nice with things that take a lot of
Yeah,
horsepower,
I can imagine,
essentially.
Anything that uses the webcam and sends it out to the internet. I mean, I've got the top of the range Surface Book 3, and it's turned itself into a space heater anytime that you turn on anything like Zoom or
Yeah,
Google Meet.
it gets really loud.
That's horrible.
Google Meet does seem to ruin stuff.
Yeah, this is too bad. OBS Ninja seems quite good, but Zoom is the bottom of the list. That seems to use the fewest of the most. If you get me, it's still ridiculously processor intensive. But do you do pair programming or anything like that, or is it live share and stuff like that?
I have live shared maybe a couple times with one of our developers. Whenever I have like a syntax problem or just wanted to like go through something. But usually I just do it on my own, send lots of screenshots and then make a PR and then people review it. So that's usually the process. Also, this is not happening. I'm trying to join this game.
What have you got? Here?
It's the Europe server, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting the server packet error.
Oh, cool. Okay, so let's tell you what we'll do. Let's try and join. Me and Pete join the US because if that might solve the issue.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's kind of important that we get Kayla working.
It is kind of important that we get Kayla working.
I could watch.
Just play a game while we ask her questions, that isn't half as fun.
So North America, create game, confirm.
I've been saying Kayla. Is it pronounced Kayla? Your name, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just to be sure. Yeah.
I'm straight in this time.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm straight in this time. For the US. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Let me leave that then. How do you do that? How do you change your region?
There's like a little globe in the bottom right on the main screen.
I don't have that.
Then I can't help you.
After the online button and
you see, North America, right? Is it the same code?
It is not. I've just put it in Slack to you right now. Sorry, Teams to you right now.
I'm sure it's fine. There's no Teams. There
you go, Kayla. Just chuck that over to you. Joining us as well. I can see Kayla. That's fantastic. John Lunn, otherwise known as John Ships, is going to join us as well. He's not on the stream, but he's going to take part in the game. So I think we can probably open this to the world. I'm actually not doing too bad for ping to the US as well. So it's like 80 milliseconds.
Yeah, mine's 76. 76.
Mine's 93.
Are you on Wi-Fi, do you think? Is that?
No.
No.
I don't know.
Is somebody watching Netflix in the next room?
I live far enough into the countryside that my internet comes via carrier pigeon.
I've got any smoke signals last time. Is that you've had an upgrade then?
Oh yeah. Bring myself slap bang into the 19th century.
The room's filled up, so that's good.
Yeah, just wait for one more.
So is that Jessica we know or a
that
random?
Is John's daughter.
Oh, awesome.
She came to play last time and threw John right under the bus.
Deserved.
Okay, let's go. Right. Every time with the admin swipe. Every time.
I don't have any problem with that. I'm not sure why you do.
I think it's, I just, 20 odd years of using mice and I still can't.
Yes. Net.
Right, where are we? Need to go to electrical.
I rarely know where I'm going on this game. I've played it quite a few times now, but I kind of just wander
You
around.
wait till we start doing different maps, Pete.
Yeah. Boom. So, as part of your day job, do you get to use Terminal as well, or
Yes.
other than just create it, you use it for your job?
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how you do dog fooding.
Yeah. So we use Terminal to build Terminal, essentially. Like
Yeah.
I use GitHub or Git in Terminal. So that's my regular process. And then we will send a build out to the team every few days with new features. And then we'll test those features as they come out. And then once we're ready for a release, we will send the build that we're planning to release out to about 300 or 400 internal people, and they'll test it for like a week, and then we'll actually ship the release build. But I have Terminal pinned on my start or on my taskbar as like a actual tool, not just for screenshots. I actually use it every day.
What's one?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this is quite a silly question, but what's the one specific feature of it that stands it apart for you from like just the regular command line?
Probably the background images and theme support. Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
everybody's dead.
So I'm always customizing my terminal, and every blog post I try to make a different theme for like what it looks like. So, and then my terminal looks like that for the month because I don't want to just make something else. Oh, Liam, you're getting called out.
you guess
So
every time.
that's probably my favorite thing. Is like customizing it to a style that I like.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you stick with Cascadia as the font. You don't, Comic Sans.
Mhm.
Ah. Emma died and then gave up.
Oh,
I didn't vent, I swear. Oh no, are you guys voting for me? Oh no.
oh no. I've got anonymous voting on as well.
That's all right. Yep.
I don't
I've got no idea
who are
could
we
be.
voting for?
Oh,
I-
apparently Johnny Chips and you, Kayla. Wow, you
I
started
didn't do
out with
it.
enemies. Nobody goes because it was a draw. So
Yeah.
Okay, so what was I doing?
you were trying to think of the next question. That's what you were doing.
This is very difficult.
I still got a few places I need to go, and I'm still like, there's a couple of bits I'm still not 100% on where we need to go.
Oh yeah, I just like I said, I just wander around until I find something that glows yellow, and then I
Then you just touch it and hope for the best.
exactly that. So you said that you did. I'm not sure what this is, but you said you did this at university. What does that mean? What was it you actually did?
Did what? I'm very distracted with these lights. I did user interface design as my master's in university, which is
Awesome.
why I was put on Terminal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it was talking about why you were essentially doing the front end because that's what you were doing. So, wow. So what is that user interface design? Because obviously that's quite a reasonably narrow subject, isn't it? But it then sort of branches out into all sorts of different topic areas. I bet. Did you get to specialize into certain areas within that, or was it just left broad? Or
Yeah, so I focused a lot on web design. I always thought I would be a web designer. And then I get to Microsoft and they're like, you're on the command line, which is the farthest thing from web.
Yeah.
But the concepts are very similar, and like design principles are similar, so I kind of tailored it over to Terminal. But yeah, I focused a lot on like human computer interaction was the specific name of the major. So it was a lot of like computer interface designs. Was like part of the main part that I focused on.
Right. Was there any design chats around whether or not you should stick with white text black background, or was there pushback from some people that would have preferred it the other way around, or did that not even get mentioned? Or
We've talked about like dark theme, light theme.
yeah,
I found that a lot of developers prefer dark theme. I was giving our Ignite session, and I was like, "Who here likes light theme?" And there was like 500 people there, and like 4 people raised their hands. It was so embarrassing. Because I like light theme, but now I've kind of converted to the dark side, so it just depends on the tool that I'm using. Like, I will not use an editor in light theme. But that was kind of funny. So we kept the shells the same. So PowerShell stayed blue, and then command prompt stayed black. And since it was more of a shell thing rather than a terminal thing. Sorry, I died, so I got really distracted.
oh, did you? Oh, that's unfair. Well, it definitely wasn't you then.
No.
I'm going for Johnny because
He's going for Johnny.
sorry, Johnny. Mind you, he can't hear us because if he can hear us, he's cheating. Can't even vote. Our voting begins in 14 seconds. That's interesting.
Yes.
Certainly, when you mentioned there when you're giving talks and stuff like that, the feedback that I've had when I've been giving talks is that people don't tend to like talks given in dark theme. It seems to work better in light theme. Not just terminal, but anything. And normally it's VS Code. And I've had a couple of comments back after DDD talks and stuff like that over here from people, and it was like, "Oh, did you like my talk? Yeah, but I'm just going to mark you down because you didn't use the light theme when you were doing it." You might be dead, Liam.
Yeah, I am. I'm the imposter as well.
Oh, are you?
Oh, brutally murdered.
Yeah. How rude! You murdered our guest. I can't
I
believe
know
it.
that's really why I do it. I just get people on in the tech community that I look up to, just so I can stab them. Stab them in space.
Did that sound better in your head than it came out, do you think?
Everything I say, Pete, sounds better in my head than when it comes out.
Awesome.
Okay, let's... did you click play again, Pete?
Oh, yeah, I should do that.
There you go. Okay.
Blue Barry, I like that. And he's actually blue as well, or she's actually blue, so I'm assuming Blue Barry would be a man, but oh boy. Oh, Johnny Chips left.
Oh, Johnny's errand.
All right.
Oh.
There it was. He wasn't the imposter, so he left. Okay, left the game as well. Okay.
Every goddamn time. Don't give me this shit. No. No.
I can hear you trying.
There we go. I did it. It's okay. We're good.
Are you trying to swipe the card, Liam? Is that what you're doing?
No, Pete, because I succeeded.
No, you never did.
I
Really?
succeeded. I did it.
You only swore once, though.
I was holding
Usually
back a
just
lot of them.
Staring at it for 5 minutes and then just not doing it, leaving and coming back later. It's quite funny.
The thing that I don't yet know how to do on this game is, when I am the imposter, is how to vent.
Like in general?
Yeah, like I'm like to open up all the doors and stuff. Like I've not done that yet. I'm assuming it's sabotage of some flavour, but I've just never got around to it.
Rude. I've just
Yeah, you just walk over to the vent and you can hop in. But
I can go through those bits, but you know when you okay. So I have completely misunderstood what people are saying when we've been playing this game, because I thought it meant like opening doors and letting people out into space. That's a different flavor event. So we're going to edit that out when we upload this to YouTube.
No, we really won't. We'll then also, what is it, snip it on Twitch, or there's a thing, isn't there, where you can clip it? That's it.
Yeah, you can clip it. Yeah.
So I'm guessing terminals all C# under the hood.
It's C++ actually.
Oh, is
really?
it? Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All of it. It's all C++.
Yep, C++ and XAML.
Well, I never. So do you get involved in the C++ side of stuff as well, or?
Yeah. I do. I've done both the C++ side and the front end XAML side as well. So.
C++ is hard. I do that for Arduino stuff, and I did C++ in my previous job, and I did it at university, and it's still hard. It's just a hard language.
Yeah. I studied C++ at university as well, and that was actually my favorite language, which is
okay.
Which is odd.
We won that straight away.
I think it's because I understood computer science at the point I was doing C++, because I started in Python and I could not grasp object-oriented programming for the life of me until my second year when I did C++, and I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. It was just like a switch.
Yeah.
So it quickly became my favorite language because I was actively being successful in it, and I think that's why. Because Python is a very easy language to learn because you literally write like print, and that's what it does. Where C++ is like standard out or something. So which is like what? But yeah, I just got used to C++ first, and yeah, that's why that's kind of my favorite for like hardcore programming languages.
Even just passing references to functions as passing strings, and having to put stars and ampersands and stuff like that, and that means something. And it's just every single time. I don't do it all day every day, so every single time I come and try and do it again, it's like I don't even know how to copy that string into that, and I've got a difference between a string and a character array, and then how do I get those two to work together? And just and of course you're not using all of your own code all the time, using somebody else's library, and that needs a string pointer, and you've got a character array now, and that character array needs to work because you've got another library that needs that, and it's
I've never once written a line of C++, so this is it's great. I started out in Visual Basic way back when, in VisualBasic.net and doing like the first ASP.NET. In fact, no, my first job in dev was writing stuff in classic ASP with JScript. Yeah. And then into VB.NET and then C#. And then I've sort of done stuff with Python since, and then started to dabble a bit more with Go and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've still yet to even glance at C++, because there be dragons. So.
It's one of those ones that the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. Because you learn a little bit and you think, oh, this isn't too bad. And then, all right, well, I'm going to try and, understand this project over here, which has got like just twice as many files in it. And it's just, I don't even understand half of what it is that they've written there. And it's really frustrating because then you've got to go off and learn the bits you don't understand and then come back and then, oh, no, that makes some sense. And yeah, I just find it hard. So, I mean, yeah, that's fantastic that you took to it as well as you did, sort of as one of your first languages. That was my introduction to object-oriented design, was at university, using that and polymorphism and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start at 7, by the way, just because we're waiting, and it doesn't make for good television.
Fair enough. So yeah, I mean, I think maybe the way we were being taught at university, that was, we were sitting down in a lecture theatre while somebody else was talking to us about C++. I don't learn very well that way. I learn by actually having a go and doing it. So
that's
I think
how I've always done it. Yeah.
It must have been 3 or 4 weeks of going to lectures, learning about syntax and object-oriented design before we actually did any programming. And I think that affected me. So I'd done stuff like Pascal and Basic before
I did
that.
that at A level. I don't know what the US equivalent is of A level, but yeah, I did Turbo Pascal and Delphi.
Yeah, Turbo Pascal was awesome. I loved that. That's what really got me back into programming after sort of doing a loads of electronics design and stuff like that. It was Pascal actually that, and that's because I'm old.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, Pete, but yeah. So
Seasoned professional. Let's put it that way, shall we?
So one of the things that Kayla and I were talking about in before we went live was not so much video games, because Kayla's not that much of a video game person, but board games.
Ah.
And I absolutely love a board game. So I was wondering if, for a couple of things. One, we should take a look at some of the digital board game stuff that there is, and maybe get some folks on to play stuff like Pandemic. That's a poor choice of words. But that kind of style game, and do that sort of thing. Or like Soro, which is great. Absolutely loves that game as well. Or maybe what we do, Pete, is we look at doing a charity stream at some point as well for After Dark, and we do it for like 4 hours or something, and we play D&D or an equivalent.
Yeah. More for anything like that would be good fun. I've played a few board games. Louise is sort of our resident expert, but Liam, you're almost on that same level as well, aren't you? But
I got Louise into board games. Yeah.
I mean, you see in behind where her webcam points, and she's just got a shelf cabinet thing there full, top to bottom, of all sorts of board games. And we have a meetup group, Tech Nottingham, that meets once a month in Nottingham. Sadly, not in person anymore, but when it was, Louise used to bring along a board game for us all to play, and that's how my exposure to board games is mostly just by doing that. Exploding Kittens and stuff like that was a funny game.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I really one of my favorite board games is Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yes, that is also one of my favorite
absolutely
games.
Love that.
I've got that unopened.
It's really good, Pete. It's really
so
good.
Yeah.
I've bought that. I've got the expansion for it as well, but I've not done anything with the expansion yet. And I bought the Murder at Baldur's Gate D&D flavor of it, which is quite cool. But just before lockdown happened, I ended up buying Betrayal, which is the legacy version. And it's still shrink wrapped, because like I bought it, then lockdown happened, and here we are. So.
Yep, we have it too, and I also haven't played it yet because the lockdown happened. So I relate.
Was that what else have I been playing recently? Like, I really like social deduction type games.
Oh, yep, me too.
And what was that? Oh, it is white. I just saw him. Her, sorry, because it's Kayla. I just saw it happen.
It's not me. I'll fight you for this. Try my best. I didn't know you were gonna turn around.
Bloop, bloop.
Sad.
See you, Kayla.
That was good. It was right in front of you. I got nothing.
I like that. That was good. So what have we got? Have we got 10 minutes left before the end of the stream? Is that how it works?
We've got 10 minutes or so before the end of the show. Yeah. Let's just hang on for one more person. At this rate, we'll probably get like 3 games in.
Oh, John, there he is. So what can you tell us about what's next? What's on the roadmap for Terminal then?
It's really the settings UI that's big. We're also adding progress indicator in the taskbar. So if you have something running, you'll get like the green thing that like comes across your icon. I cannot do that and swipe at the same time. This is very
It's so hard, and it's taking the piss out of me.
I'm trying to think of what else. We're working on investigating tearing tabs out, but that's not going to come soon. We're just trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like that's it. Like it's a simple feature, but it sounds like it's one of the most complex challenges there is. Because surely, like the act of tearing something out, then you need to spawn a new process as a result.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that, talking and swiping at the same time, and it's not going well.
Yeah.
It's a drag and drop and drag and release problem essentially, but it's the, I guess, like Liam's just said, it's the spawning of a new process that you need to do that probably is the hard part, I guess. And you've got to think about whether or not you'd also want to maintain the path that it's in, and then if there's any local settings to that tab and stuff like that. So I
see Jonathan is playing as well, because he just dropped in the chat. They managed to do the swipe card first time, but that's because he's not on the stream talking as well.
And also, he's just not as bad at it as you.
Pete, we're going to fall out. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Saw black in electrical.
Black. Yeah, that's Jessica then,
Yeah.
Amazingly, I don't think I've been killed yet. Oh, no, I have once, and I did get killed. I'm lying to you.
We can soon change that, Pete.
Says the imposter.
We go with cyan.
You're doing up. They were streaming out to the internet, Ali. You do realise that? You are live to the entire internet in your pajamas. This is Kayla. She's from Microsoft. And that's Liam.
Hello. I'm waving at the wrong screen.
Oh, bye, raw. Go on, up to bed.
Oh, yeah, wow. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Yeah.
It wasn't Liam after all.
No, I told you. I told you. Would I lie to you? I mean, yes, but that's.
And this one, look, with the hat on.
Yeah, we should maybe at some point in the next month or so, we should think about doing some form of charity. I know we've got the festive tech calendar stuff coming up for the main show, but maybe we should think about doing like a charity D&D type game. See who from Microsoft ultimately would like to come and play. Cal, I'm going to rely on you for that, because you know everybody compared to us.
Ah,
come on. Already?
What? Yeah, that would be really cool. I feel like people would be down. I don't see why not.
I need to bend your arm, see if you'll come and speak at .NET Knots as well.
Sure.
Come and speak. It's all virtual now, you realise. So
yeah,
sit where you are and speak could be more accurate. But
Sure.
Where am I? Where is that?
Liam, first time swiping the card. I mean,
I've got 2 words for you, Pete. One of them is off.
swipe faster. Oh, we did.
I am indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Blue, where? Don't know. I just saw black recently. Oh.
Well, I'm red for a start. So
So you mentioned, we've got like 5 minutes. You mentioned screen readers as well. How much work's put into that to make that work? Because obviously it's mega important. And how does it work?
hmm So we put a lot of work into it. One of our devs is, I'm just gonna vote now, so I don't have to think about this. One of our devs is specifically assigned for doing accessibility, and we've worked with people who use screen readers all the time to make sure that it works for them, and it goes through extensive accessibility testing as well every time we add a new feature. But it works we had to kind of do it differently than how you would do a website, because like content on a website is static usually, but content in a terminal is constantly updating. So how do you not overload the screen reader with like a build or something?
Yeah.
Oh Christ, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, neither did I until we were looking into it. So it works where you can tab through different words and it'll read the word for you. We also had to work out like how do file paths get represented, like do you need it to say slash and things like that. I don't actually know how it reads that out, but it'll read at the current line that you're on and you can tab up and down through it. And then you also need to be able to tab into the tab bar on the top and like the drop down as well. So there is a ton of work that goes into accessibility, and it's definitely a challenging problem because of how much is being updated at once and what people are actually looking for when it comes to what's being read out loud. So, yeah.
Yeah, challenging. I guess again, if you're developing this in public and the public are making pull requests on code that they don't know why it's been designed in a certain way to fit with accessibility and stuff, that must make pushbacks a little bit more complicated. It's just another layer of things that you've got to check before you accept a PR.
Yeah, it depends on if it's a UI element. But usually, like things like XAML are pretty good with accessibility being built in anyway.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, like the controls will have things that the screen reader will acknowledge already built in when you add like text box or something. So that's nice with XAML. It was more of like how does the buffer print out your text in a way that like the screen reader can make sense of it.
I'm really sorry, by the way, both of you, and to people watching, if you can hear like a low vibrating or sort of background noise. My cat's jumped on my lap and he has just decided he's going to purr right underneath the microphone the entire time.
Fine, I can't hear that.
Yeah, I can't either.
Good. Sorry, Kayla, what were you saying?
Oh, that was about it. Yeah.
It's really good. It's great to know that there's that much work going on for accessibility, because it's mega important. Because there's some fantastic developers, partially sighted or blind developers out there that rely on this sort of tech. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's been interesting because you'll learn a lot about how people use technology differently and how you have to design for that. So it's been pretty cool to see how we do those types of things.
Yeah. And did you mention earlier that you studied part of that at university as well? Was that introduced into the syllabus there as well? Or?
No, not really. Nothing like a screen reader or anything like that. I think it's more of your typical user how something should be designed.
Okay.
Pete, I didn't see that you would stop it. Right, Oliver, get down, please, because you're trying to purr into the microphone. Thank you. I mean, I guess that's really come to the forefront in more recent times as well. So like, there's stuff like, is it the AAA accessibility guidelines now? I can't remember what the proper name of it is. Even though
AAT, I think,
yes, that's it.
maybe. Yeah. Oh, are they voting for me? I didn't do it. Sorry.
I'm going to skip because I genuinely don't know. I know that Pete and Jonathan are both dead though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we killed each other.
Did you?
It's funny knowing who it is. I just filtering that out in your mind and not blurting it out and ruining the whole game for everybody.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Certainly when you're busy speaking on a stream as well.
Yeah.
So, at Microsoft, do you get moved around in teams, or do you pick a team and stick with it, or how does that work?
I have been on the same team since I started, but you can move if you'd like. If there's openings, you're welcome to interview for those teams and switch if that's something you're interested in. We have been reorged, but my team has stayed intact, so I haven't had to like switch full teams or anything. So my team is just an assortment of developer tools. So we have WSL and PowerToys as well, all under the same manager. So we're all under the same hut, I should say.
Power Toys,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, fancy zones, of course, and things like that. The big monitors, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! Somebody like I'd have liked somebody not to have reported then because I was most of the way through starting the reactor.
Typical. Did you mentioned a reorg there? I know there was a big a load of people got their job titles changed recently as well, in whether or not that was in your department or not, but I think I saw quite a few people get job title changes, not necessarily role changes, but their job titles changed oddly, which isn't something you often think about. I know that happened to me in my first job. They tried to change our job title from engineer to something else that didn't sound as good as engineer, and there was a lot of pushback because job titles mean stuff to people. Certainly when you put it on your CV and you want to leave, it's a rank almost, isn't it? So what is your job title there? Are you a PM or?
Yep, program manager. Yeah.
And there's loads of different PMs as well. There's program manager, and then there's another PM as well, and there's a PPM, and there's all sorts of different acronyms, isn't there, for job titles?
It sounds like the dream place to work, really. You know, you're getting to work on stuff that you really love for that contributes to basically everybody worldwide with a really bright bunch of people. I need to vote. And really sort of explore stuff in your own way, I guess.
Yeah. It feels kind of like a startup since our team is so small. And I've been there from like launch to now, so it feels like we're just starting a new business sort of, or like it's a new tool, so it kind of feels like that. And since we're open source, we are really just community driven at this point, and if features are heavily requested on GitHub, those get #1 priority on our roadmap as well. So it's just kind of like working with the community and figuring that out, and yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Sounds a bit like the garage type idea that Microsoft have got. Didn't Power Toys come out of garage? I thought that's where that came from.
I can't remember.
There's some cool stuff. Snip came out of garage, and there was a mouse moving thing that came out of garage, and something else.
I remember the mouse thing where you could use the same keyboard and mouse over different devices without using a KVM. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like Mouse Without Borders or something along those lines.
I think it was called that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Right. Well, we are at the end of the show. In fact, we've gone slightly over. because and it's been great to be able to sit down and chat with you, Kayla, as well. And I guess if from an imposter point of view, it could have been better.
I tried.
But yeah, it's been really fun having you on. You're of course welcome back anytime. And yeah, let's catch up offline as well, and let's talk about doing something with D&D and having some charity thing with a bunch of folks, and see how we can do it. So thanks folks for watching as well. I have been Liam Gulliver alongside Pete Gallagher and Kayla Cinnamon from Microsoft, and we will see you again next time. On Monday, we'll be streaming at 6 p.m. a rerun of DevOps Derek Weekly with Gregor Sutty and obviously Derek Campbell, and we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. So thank you very much again once for sorry. I'm really not doing well with the words today, guys. Just not going well. It's been a long day. Yeah. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. No, that's the wrong button as well because I've moved everything around. I'd literally right before.